This may look like a rock, and it is, but it's also one of the best seats in Sydney. Today I'm in Sydney, more specifically the Domain near the Royal Botanic Gardens. The exact spot is called Mrs Macquarie's Point, and this is Mrs Macquarie's chair. Who is Mrs Macquarie? Well, that would be Lady Elizabeth Macquarie. She was the wife of the 5th Governor of New South Wales, Major General Lachlan Macquarie, who was probably one of the most influential people in the history of modern Australia. These days, he lends his name to a lake, a river, a university, a dictionary, a shopping centre, a hospital, a bank, a prison, and various companies, streets and suburbs. And his wife also has a fair few places named in her honour, including one of the main roads in Sydney, Elizabeth Street. There's also Mrs Macquarie's Road, and that is where we lay our scene. The road doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be here and was built on the orders of Governor Macquarie. You see, this area is called the Domain because it's near the old government house, the home of the Governor of New South Wales, and during colonial times was the government's domain. Although as a kid I thought it was something to do with the furniture store. Governor Macquarie wanted the road to be built because Lady Elizabeth often visited this peninsula to gaze out across the harbour. It's said she liked to watch the ships travelling to and from her homeland, Great Britain. So in 1810, Governor Macquarie, raising the standards expected of husbands, commissioned convicts to carve a seat for her out of this sandstone ledge. Of course, I visited at a time when the shadows meant it was hard to catch the inscription on camera, but it says, "Be it thus recorded that the road round the inside of the government domain called Mrs Macquarie's Road, so named by the governor on account of her having originally planned it, measuring 3 miles and 377 yards, was finally completed on the 13th day of June, 1816. There probably should have been a few commas and full stops in there, but anyway. I don't know if these convicts were paid for their work. They were, of course, convicts, but Governor Macquarie and Lady Elizabeth were seen as quite progressive on issues such as prisoner reform, and often employed convicts for paid work and gave official jobs to ex-convicts as a way of assimilating them back into society. This didn't go down so well with the British government. Most colonial officials in London and Sydney believed that New South Wales should be a place where prisoners suffered, not some sort of island paradise straight out of a Qantas advert. After an official inquiry, which was highly critical of Governor Macquarie, he resigned and returned to Scotland with Lady Elizabeth. But above anything else, this is a love story. A tale about a man so infatuated with his wife that he had a road built and a rock carved so that she could spend time at her favourite spot. It almost makes you forget about that punitive expedition he ordered which resulted in the slaughter of indigenous people. Almost.